Hey everyone, Jexie here. Welcome back to another video. In this video, I figured what we talk about is you get clean, then what? So often when we first get clean, we realize that we know nothing about ourselves. And so I thought I'd share with you a little bit about what that journey was like for me when I first got clean. So going right into the video, I know for a lot of people using drugs takes up so much of our lives. When I was at the worst of my addiction, everything I did revolved around using. Like I worked so I could get money to use. Like when I had my kids, like I felt like I needed to be high to do things. Like everything revolved around using. So when I got clean, there was so much I realized that I didn't really know about myself. I've shared in prior videos that because I used opiates, a lot of the problems I had were basic things. Like I didn't have a sense of smell. I didn't have a sense of taste. So when I got clean, it had been a long time since I had tasted food in like a real way. So I didn't even really know what foods I liked. It turns out I like so much more than I ever thought. I was a really picky eater as a kid, and then I used for so long. So when I got clean and things started to taste good, it was exciting. I got to try like all sorts of new foods and realizing that I had not even remotely begun to experience all the different types of flavors that there were. I realized that, as I've shared in other videos, like I didn't realize how much I loved my kids. And so a lot of that stuff I was numb to, but I had to kind of figure out who I was. I knew I liked helping people. I'd always wanted to put other people first, and using really was a conflict of interest in that area for me, and I really had a hard time reconciling those two things for a long time. Using makes you steal for drugs or lie to people, which like both were totally against like everything that I was. And so I had to forgive myself for those things, and I had to move forward and figure out what is it that I want to do with my life. Who do I want to be? What kind of mom do I want to be? What kind of friend do I want to be? What do I want to do for a living? I mean, there's so many things. So I spent a lot of time like really just soul searching, and right now I am very lucky. I work part-time for a nonprofit organization that focuses on kindness. And so I really am able to give back in a way that's outside of recovery also. We do a lot of functions. I get to meet a lot of people all over the world. I do Skype calls when we have a big event in the fall, and I get to actually communicate with people from all over the globe. And it's really exciting because I was able to take that feeling of wanting to help and apply it in a completely different area. And as much as I love it, as much as I totally love what I do, it doesn't feel as like fully fulfilling, right? Like I still feel like there's more for me to do. So one of the things I got involved in fairly early on in my recovery was getting to help out the public relations area of the 12-step program I was in. So what does that mean? Well, I had this great opportunity to go out into my community and speak to hospitals and police stations and community centers and let people know that the 12-step program I was representing existed, because a lot of times people don't know. When we don't talk openly about recovery, when we don't share about recovery out loud, people who are struggling don't always know they have that as an option. So I had the ability to go out and let people know like what the 12-step program was and how they can find it, how they can get involved. So that was really fulfilling for a long time because I loved the ability to let people know that help is available and they don't have to struggle alone. I remember the police department was super grateful when we gave them like pamphlets that just is like, hey, this is what being an addict is, and there's people out there who want to help. Knowing that there was a community of people in recovery was something they really appreciated because they didn't have anywhere to send people when they needed help. So that was really fulfilling too, and I was happy to be a part of sharing the hope in that way. But again, like over the years, although I really enjoyed it, it didn't feel like quite enough for me. So I really found a new way of life in recovery. Recovery changed so much for me. I'm able to be a mom. I'm able to support my kids to the best of my ability. I'm able to have relationships today. I'm able to talk about how I feel, and I'm totally able to be open about the fact that I'm an addict. So I wanted to be able to help in a greater way. And actually, that is the reason that I decided to start my own YouTube channel. So as much as I like doing work for other groups and helping other people in that way, I felt like almost like it wasn't enough for me. You know, like, yes, being able to represent a 12-step program and letting people know it's there is fantastic, because I'm a strong believer in that program. But not everybody is. And there's a lot of people who need help that for whatever reason are very are very turned off to 12-step programs. So how do we reach them? So for me, this channel was about not speaking about recovery in any one way, like not talking about, you know, like only people who drink or only people who are in this 12-step program or only people with mental illness. Like I didn't want to make my audience small. What I wanted to do was just share my experience with the world. And look, if listening to me doesn't help you, that's okay. Because what's amazing is that I've become connected with a lot of people in recovery outside of my community, right? Like I'm very ingrained in the recovery community where I live. But now I've gotten to meet people on YouTube, on Twitter, on all these different social media sites that are also really involved in recovery. There are so many people out there who are wanting to just help another person who's suffering. We don't ever have to go through this stuff alone. And so by sharing my experiences and talking about what I've been through, my hope is that I'm able to help the next person struggling, like encourage people to find out who they are. So that's like one big way that I've like found purpose in recovery. Do you remember when you first got out of high school and people would ask all the time, maybe you just started college or junior, senior year in high school, and you'd get asked the question all the time, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And for me, I remember being like, I don't know. How am I supposed to know that? I haven't experienced the world. I haven't gone out and done stuff. How could I possibly know that? I feel like the same thing is very similar in early recovery. In early recovery, we're presented with this situation where we no longer have the drugs, we're clear of mind, we're thinking straight, and now people want to know, like, what are you going to do with your life? How are we supposed to know? We've spent so many years absent from reality, covering up emotions, like not being present in our own lives. How would we know who we are, what we want to be, what our purpose in life is? What's wonderful about early recovery is it gives us a chance to explore ourselves. It gives us a chance to like learn who we are, what we like, and who we want to be. There's no right or wrong answer. But I think the best gift that we get in early recovery, the most fun part about early recovery, is getting to figure out what we like. I know a lot of people don't even know what music they like, what foods they like. If we don't know those things about ourselves, how are we supposed to know what kind of career we want? Maybe we were working something in recovery, but that career is not going to work out for us. So maybe we're going to try something new. Being in recovery gives us the opportunity to really explore so many avenues of our life, whether it be like physical health, education, careers. We get to really explore who we want to be. I've seen people go back to school, people who have been out of school for years who thought that it was never going to happen to them, go back to school, like get their masters, like own their own practices and things. We can do whatever it is that we put our minds to. And especially in early recovery, we don't have to know what that purpose is. We don't have to know what we want to do with our lives or who we want to be. That's the fun part about especially early recovery, is we get to explore that. We get to decide, what is it that we like? Who are we? And the more we learn to explore it, we get to try new things. So I would really love to hear from you guys. What did you learn about yourselves in early recovery? How are you figuring out what your purpose is? Do you think that carrying the message of recovery to people who are still struggling is part of your ultimate purpose, or do you see it as something completely different? Are you going back to school? Are you learning something new? I would love to hear your journeys. I feel like this channel is not just about me talking, it's about a conversation. Let's get to know each other. Who knows? Maybe one of us has an idea that can spark an idea in somebody else, and we can really all move forward in finding out who we are and what we're going to do and who we're going to be. So thanks again for watching another video. Please comment, write comments. I love hearing from you. I write back to everybody. If you have a suggestion for a video, let me know. And hitting a thumbs up button, as silly as it sounds, is matters to YouTube. Subscribing to my channel, that matters to YouTube. It doesn't matter to me so much, but YouTube analytics, it does matter. And the more comments and likes and subscribers that this channel gets, the more people that'll end up seeing these videos, and the more we can help grow our recovery community. So I look forward to seeing you all. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you all next week.